Blue's watching it again.
Yeah, I wanted to see if there was anything about Friend in it.
Should we go there tonight?
I mean, we could.
Explore a little bit?
I'm down.
Yeah?
Yeah. I could be Blue Utah. I've been watching the storm by the wind. Alright, so we are here at the Bradshaw Ranch. This is the adobe house right there. Ooh, pretty cool. Falling apart a little bit, but that's okay. And then over there is the windmill. I don't know if you can really see that, but it's right over there. The house view. So this is the inside of the adobe house. There's a gold plate, you know. A little door. A couple of windows with a brownie, you know, like in. Ooh, there's a giant black widow.
Whoa, oh, whoa!
Nasty.
Gnarly.
Come on here. The actual place itself. This is where the bar was. Is, I guess, technically. I'm not gonna stay here too long because it's scary and I don't want to leave. There is a bathroom down in this area. And then over there is the hallway. I guess we can go back.
Hello there. So you think you have a UFO that is your friend, and from everything I've learned over the last 20 years, you're probably absolutely right. The UFOs and the things on them aren't aliens from another planet that developed craft and flew here to discover other things. It isn't anything like that. I'm not sure we'll ever encounter that. And over all the years of digging through stories and other people's evidence and research, it always boiled down to Lou Baldwin. He always ended up being the one that was never wrong, it seemed. And I think soon Bob Lazar, people are going to realize Bob Lazar was telling the truth. I believe he was because I know Jim Goodall and John Lear, who, you know, they both have known Bob for 40 years or something. So I've been 1 degree of separation from him. So to me, it was never a matter of believing him because his best friends believe him, the people who know him the longest believe him. And, you know, that's initially what led me out here to see if I could see UFOs. If these people said it was real, then they should be somewhere. I should be able to see them. And you can. I still encourage people, if UFOs are something you're interested in, you should come to the area around Sedona and just come and see them for yourself. Stop wondering if these things are genuine. Start seeing them and then evolve your thought process to, why are there so many? What could be the purpose and the reason behind them? And that's really what took me the longest time to get to the bottom of, and what I wish I knew starting out, so I wouldn't have had to go down the wrong rabbit hole so many times. And moving here was the biggest thing. I moved here over a year ago so that I could try to get closer to the phenomena and let them get more familiar with me and see if the encounters could grow. And the encounters with UFOs out here have indeed been growing. You know, it started, the best thing I would get is shining my laser pointer at them and them shining back at me, a big bright flash back at me. And that was about the most interaction I got to have with them. But now they've requested, one night I was taking photographs, long exposure photographs, and I asked one of them, I could see it, I was sitting there watching it and I could see it, and I asked it if it could dance around for me, because most of the photos I get are going in straight lines and then they make a little hook at the end when they disappear. And this thing did, it danced around for me, just like your friend, it moves around when you interacts with you. And then as I've been filming with night vision, I've been getting videos of them answering questions when I ask questions. So it seems that being here has been helpful. The other good thing too is I worked as a ranch hand for the first 6 months I was here, and I got to be around a lot of footprints of regular animals. And the best thing I learned was that one of the prints I've been finding out here that really I thought were bizarre are actually from cows. It looked to me like these 2 toenail claw things in the dirt. I'd find them every now and then. And we didn't have cows on the ranch I worked at. We had horses and pigs and bunnies, but I went out and tracked a herd of cattle, and I didn't really see the same type of footprint, but then I went and tracked them at night in the rain one night, and they were indeed making that exact same footprint. Some people had seen the first one and told me, hey, those are from a cow, and they couldn't explain to me how, so that's why I started following around cows, and sure enough, so the collaboration and feedback has been good. But the UFO stuff has been the thing I've tried to get to the bottom of the longest, and it really comes down to what's happening with our lives, with Earth. It's all related. The UFOs are involved in all of it. And to try to explain it, you love cars just like I do, especially fast, cool cars. So let's think of it as a car. When you see a Ferrari driving down the road, we see it and we're like, wow, that is beautiful, right? It never crosses our mind how much had to go into making that Ferrari exist. You know, the decades of racing, like the lives sacrificed in racing these crazy, put together cars. They only cared about the engine and just kind of pieced the car together at that point. Those old Le Mans cars were not safe to run in. And, 10,000 engineers, how many, they had the world's biggest wind tunnel, all the F1 racing, all that money, all that time, all that effort, all that had to go into, or else that one car that we saw couldn't exist. So if that much infrastructure is needed just to make a car exist, can you imagine the infrastructure that would be needed to run a planet with 7 billion souls on it? That infrastructure would have to be massive, and it seems like that's who we are and where we are. So the best way to explain it is if you can just start fresh and think that what we're doing here, if you start with a clean slate, because we chose to come here. We have an existential self, a soul that lives on forever, perpetually, and reincarnates. Throughout those reincarnations, which for a lot of us happen on levels higher than the one we're on right now, over those incarnations we pick up baggage, insecurities, little inclusions in our soul, like inclusions in a diamond. And eventually those inclusions are going to prevent you from accomplishing something you want to accomplish, or existing in a place you want to exist. You realize, there's this whole other level of existence I didn't know about. I want to earn my way to exist there. And it would get pointed out to you, well, to do that, you would need to get rid of these inclusions you've picked up. And so we say, okay, how do I do that? And it's like, you enter a contract. But I'm just using the word I don't know that you sign something. It's an agreement, a soul contract, where you enter a prison-like planet like Earth, which are loads of them, with amnesia. We can't remember why we're here, or else the whole process wouldn't work. But we come here specifically to have encounters with other people, to let us recognize our insecurities and our low points, and for us to have the opportunities to learn to live with integrity and without envy, hate, or greed. And all of the souls we're going to run into on Earth, we all have faults and insecurities. And the problem is the way you get stuck on Earth is by ignoring them, by not trying to work on them. We're constantly having opportunities to discover our own faults and insecurities in everyday life, but so many of us actually choose to grow those things instead of overcoming them. Envy, hate, and greed are pretty powerful if you think about it. And it sounds really easy to live with integrity and none of those other things, but when you start trying it, it can be a little difficult. And then you have to ask yourself what integrity is. Before John there passed away, that was one of the conversations I had with him when I was sitting at his house, and he just asked me, what do you think it is? Because both he and I, that was our goal, to live that way. So if you got to live that way, you better know what that means. And so I told him, I think it's just always doing the right thing. Not doing the right thing because you think somebody else is watching or looking, but just doing the right thing because you believe it's the right thing to do. And he agreed, and at the end of our life here, when we've gone through the process, there's a review. You're not judged by somebody else, we judge ourselves. But it becomes easy to do that. We see our whole life from basically like 3 points of view. Our own, second point of view, and say a third point of view. So we'll see every situation and feel it from the way we saw and felt it, but also from the way we made the person we're interacting with feel. So at the end of this existence, you're going to have to feel the same way you made everyone else feel along the way. And that is eventually how you learn to live with integrity. It gives you mindfulness. You start recognizing that, and you start learning to pay attention to how your actions affect not only the person directly, but maybe somebody else off to the side as well. And it's all those things put together that equal integrity at the end of the day. And the UFOs are just the craft that are used in order to interact with this place that we're in. You do have a friend as a UFO. Our friends are all the souls that have already graduated Earth. They have sympathy for us while we're here because we feel lost and confused. And it's honestly only been coming out here and seeing these are real for myself where I stopped feeling lost and confused, because I'm like, okay, thank God these are real. Because now at least I feel like I can find a path and walk on it, alone or not, it doesn't matter. But if they weren't real, I definitely would have felt like a crazy person maybe. But it's astonishing how real they are. And the footage been getting out here has been remarkable. Formations, like I said, answering questions. When I even asked it if it would fly back in a formation, it flashed for yes, and then sure enough flew back in a formation.
Nothing does that, and then
If you know who I am, can you flash really bright?
Back together, and then all of a sudden they all split off in different directions. Like one of the kids, a teenager, I think it's about 13, 14.
Do that
maybe,
again.
He said, and his dad was there, and he goes, "Dad, they all took off like they all streaked out away from each other in opposite directions. They just went and streaked out and disappeared, just gone." So I mean, it's like you go, okay, nothing does that.
No.
And so, and I've been saying for months, God, I wonder when we're going to get one of those fast formations again. And I think it was the dad who said, "Oh, you got one of your fast formations." I go, "Boy, did we." Because before that, the most we'd seen in a formation was 12. So to see 20 some odd, this was like, what? It's crazy, crazy. Okay. Which gets me to the next category, which is formations. Okay. Formations, so two or more flying together. You guys, two things crossing paths, not a formation. Pulling apart, opposite directions, all those things, not a formation. If they're locked in unison, holding a distance, holding a timing.
You turn into two.
And we were faked out my last tour by Starlink. They kept coming from the same direction, but they were more spread out than I remember them being. Together, I think we got amber light. Let's watch them. Now there's a plane coming the other direction, blinking. But these two are cruising, so yeah, and I think we've got amber light. Now they're pretty far apart, but it's still a double. If they maintain this, if they're on different trajectories, then it's two separate objects. But they look like they're maintaining it. And it's a naked eye sighting because we can see it with our own eyes.
They're really bright if they're that close to the moon and you could see them.
Yeah, they are bright because normally closer to the moon, what he's talking about is things get watched out in the moonlight and they're very dim. So the fact these are so bright. Now the other
Those are really good
to the right,
doubles, you guys.
that's a plane to the right of the moon. That's blinking. And the thing right above us is clearly a plane. But these two are cruising together. Slightly different trajectories, but hanging long enough that I'll call it a double.
So you want to know what's funny? In the video conversation I had with the UFO a second ago, I asked it if it could show up as 2, and it flashed yes.
Oh, yeah?
I wonder if this is it.
Yeah, it probably is.
Weird night.
And even here at Bradshaw, we watched one for a good 30 minutes. And it was after like 20 minutes, I was finally, okay, I need to get my tripod because it's still there. And I just sat and shot long exposure shots of it, and it would change shape. One picture, it looks like an angel with wings on it. It's pretty, first time I've seen anything like that. And the other thing with the UFOs that's kind of unfortunate is they're really none of our business. It's not our job to figure out if they're real or figure out the only thing we really need to accomplish in life, that we should want to accomplish, is graduating this level of existence and going up the ladder. It is bizarre, and I'm not quite sure yet why some people have encounters with them they can remember, others don't. We're all abducted at some point or another. It comes into play. I mean, these things are keeping all 7 billion souls on their life's path. They have to pick them up, and they have to open up their body and, say, remove a cancer that shouldn't have been there, or put one in that's supposed to be there. All the things to put you particularly through the tests in life that you're supposed to go through. And the point of it is, don't be a jerk. See, it's easy on an upper level of existence when you have everything to be a good person. But the real test is when you come down here to places like this. How are you going to act when everything is a struggle? How are you going to act when every day doesn't make sense? And if you can be a good person under those circumstances all the time, it seems like that eventually equates to graduation of this level. Everyone's abducted. You know, John there told me at least three times as like a regular checkup. You know, I'm not sure of that number. It could be any number. He could have just picked that one, or somebody could have told him. And the thing about John that I want to make sure people understood was that the information he always shared was what he learned. And what he learned over the years changed, and his opinion on things changed. And that's really what he taught me to do. He taught me to learn from what I discover, and he taught me to go out and discover them. He taught me, don't just sit around and read things. You have to go experience them. You know, him and Bob Lazar would have those personal adventures together, and that's how they got real information. And this area around here seems to be the perfect place to do all of that. And John, when I was sitting with John one day, John told me, hey, Lou told me the sun is pregnant. And I kind of laughed and I said, what the heck could that possibly mean? And he said, well, Lou said that planets are formed as ejecta from stars. That's how planets are created there. And sure enough, I did end up finding an article later saying that the planet Mercury was made up of the same elements as material ejected from the sun. So it was already there. And John Lear and I, for a few months, every day we would watch what's called the SOHO cam. S-O-H-O. It's online and it points at the sun all the time. And within a few months, John and I both saw the sun give birth to a planet. And it was insane. This huge fireball, planet-sized fireball, came out of the sun and didn't dissipate. It stayed there. It kept moving farther away. It cooled and turned into a spherical, rocky object. It was a new planet. And so there's a couple of ways that you can see that Lou Baldwin is proving to be true, because it's information he said 10 or 15 years ago, and now they're starting to notice it's true. The other bit was that he told us Stars are formed from black holes. He said black holes travel around, they consume matter, rearrange it, and eject it. And that's when stars are created. And he told us that so long ago. And just recently I found an article literally saying Lou Baldwin by name. Lou Baldwin is correct. There's a photograph they captured of a black hole creating stars. So Lou has a lot of things to say that we can't really prove yet. It has to go with the history of the solar system, souls and what they do. But the things he said do line up with all the evidence I've been finding. I moved out here to do this full time. I figured maybe the creatures and the phenomena would let me have more encounters with them if they got more familiar with me. And the only way I could do that was to be here. The things Lou says about the creatures and the UFOs and the other strange phenomena, the more time I spend out here, it's proving to be right. He told me how to contact an ET once. I asked him straight out, if I want to have physical contact with an ET, what should I do? And he said, you need to go someplace. First, you need to go someplace isolated. You can't do it in your house. You need to be somewhere really far away and somewhere where there isn't any kind of light switch nearby, or there isn't any kind of trick you can do to catch them. He said, go to like the basement of an abandoned house, or go miles out into the woods and go in the dark, pitch black, put your hands out by your sides and put out the intent. I want to meet one of you. And he said within 10 or 15 minutes, one of them will come and grab and hold your hand. Now, I said that honestly sounds like the beginning of a horror movie. Like I've seen horror movies where like a ghost grabs her hand. Like it seemed really intimidating. But I wanted to try it, and I did it here in the Bradshaw house, and I had my camera on. I knew that wasn't the best idea because you're not supposed to catch them, but I didn't have any lights on. I was just holding my cell phone camera, and you can't see anything, but you can hear them, and it's pretty remarkable that what Lou said worked. There was something walking around in the room with me. And the main point is to encourage the other people. If UFOs are anything interesting you, make your next trip to Sedona. You'll see a bunch of them. Go on the UFO tour. Like, we need to get past the point of trying to debate whether or not these things are real and get to the actual, like, good stuff. You know, why are they all here? Why are there so many? Once we understand the real, then we'll get to understand the deeper meaning behind it all. And I think that's going to benefit a lot of people, especially for the people like me who felt lost. They didn't have a group or like a clique. They never had that. They were always kind of in the back of the room, being quiet, you know, never really accepted. And this subject, this phenomena I've found actually has bound me with other people I've met like that. Like, we have made great friendships just because us uncovering this kind of thing together. And I want to encourage more people to do it. You need to come out and experience it and get the feeling of it, and you'll never doubt if it's real or not.
Angel right next to you. You got a guardian angel gonna see you through. You got a guardian angel right by your side. You got a guardian angel gonna do you right.
we're down here looking for them, don't you think they'd want to connect with us?
Why would you think they'd want to?
Flash if you want to
I mean,
connect with us.
True. I mean,
yeah, I mean, there is a consciousness interaction. What you say and think matters.
The other thing I really want to do is open up this experience to anyone else that's interested in it. To come out and see UFOs flying around for yourself. And, you know, this whole thing started for me by camping at Lolomai Springs on the solstice. And so I thought that would be a good starting point, you know, start at square one. And so anyone who's interested, I think we all just get campsites at Lolomai Springs, the summer solstice every year. And, you know, maybe there's 3 or 4 other people out there that'll make the trip, and, you know, we can all skywatch together and make some sort of fun event out of it. So if that sounds like you, you know, book your trip.
I'm afraid to sing because they'll hear it. I'm afraid to be myself because they'll see. I'm afraid to walk outside these lines before me. If I be myself, what will they see? What will they see? I'm afraid to speak the world I have been seeing. I'm afraid to tell them just who I've seen. Elvis, David, Bowie, Pavarotti. Let us not forget sweet Norma Jean, sweet Norma Jean. Who within this love have I been drowning? Fleetwood Mac standing prophecy. What will they see when they see me? When I be myself, what will they see? Maybe the aurora borealis running through me. A girl who ruins jokes and loses her keys. A levitating witch of wrath and fury. Or an angel hung with soft and golden dreams. What will they see when they see me? Am I as big as a mountain? Am I as small as an atom? Am I a pure silver bell? Am I the one he is beating? The one who is bleeding? The one who is singing? The one who is breathing? The one who is bringing a returning orphan star. Remember orphan star, orphan star. Remember what will they see when they see me? Maybe something, maybe nothing. Orphan star.
UFOs are real.